Absolute Jesus, welcome to another episode of the Sunday Social. Delighted to have you all back again this week. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Coyney and Vaughany. How are we doing? In fact, do you know what, lads? Before I ask you, let's get to it. Welcome. How are we, lads?
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, good timing there, mate. Just I was cracking one open there.
That's. I've gone with the Bankses today. I had the vodka and orange last week. It didn't leave a very good taste in my mouth, so I went back to beer. How's your week been, guys?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, mate. Can't complain. Plenty of good matches to watch. Plenty of matches to watch. I don't know about the overall quality, apart from the Town game yesterday, where I thought Town were fantastic.
Let's see if I've got my Shrewsbury top on here. Yes.
He's not on yet. He's not on yet, Vaughany. He's not on yet.
I will be. I'll be showing it again in a minute. I'm quite impressed here, Dan, as well, that you've. I was expecting you to mug us off with the same old introduction that you did last week, but you've actually changed it and mixed it up a bit. I'm actually quite impressed with that.
I'm a tweaker. Keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. Listen, thanks to everybody who's watching so far. Remember, if you're new, hit the subscribe button in the bottom there below. Remember to like it and obviously share it with your friends. This is something that we do weekly. It's all about having a beer, talking football. What more could you want? So, quick get together of what we've got this week for you. So, we have got manager chat with the Dudley Town boss, Matty Lovatt. I'm looking forward to this because Vaughany got proper pissed last week when he mugged off Town, so this is going to be fun. We've got down boy. We've got sadly, it's been a long week to do with racism this week. We'll get into that more in time, but it's not been the best. It's pissed a lot of people off. I'm one of them. Bad challenges. We're going to be doing a bit on that. In fact, I've got some corkers down that I've written down, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you lads say. Refereeing decisions. Now, is VAR really at fault? That's my question, but we'll come on to that. Good evening, Doug. Welcome, mate. Hope you're well. We've also got a bit from the Grassroots, an update there based on what's been happening this week, and we've got Mr. Welsh man himself, Paul Coyney, with a bit of an update for the Welsh Prem there. So, first and foremost, guys, it's time.
The first time I've ever been called the Welshman, by the way.
You've been called worse. I can tell you that for certain.
I've called you worse.
I'm not saying a word. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Matty in. Before we do, here's an intro. That's not bad, is it? How are you, Matty?
I'm really impressed with that smart Dan. Going up in the world, mate.
We've come a long way from film. Well, I'm still in the spare room. I don't know what I'm talking about there. Fucking shit. First question, Matty, before we even welcome you on, have you got a beer, sir?
I have indeed. Yes, I have.
Congrats. Brilliant stuff. Listen, mate, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been a big week topic-wise. There's been a lot go on, which we will get into shortly, I should imagine. But first of all, just want to welcome you on the show. Obviously, Vaughany was a little rattled last week after the Walsall comment, so he is dressed to impress today.
Yeah, we've also got a timer here to time how long it's going to take before the relegation game was mentioned as well.
Well, yeah.
But, no,
how are you, Matty? Anyway, you all right?
I'm all right, thank you, Vaughany. Top man,
Good,
yes.
good. Cheers, thank you, mate.
Awesome. Well, Coyney.
Little backstory.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Little backstory. I'm pretty much known on the world of Twitter as Dudley Town's cheerleader, I think. I'm always, if I'm at a game, I seem to post the goals and I get absolutely lambasted when I go to other grounds for it. Every time we go to another ground, they go, "You're going to go watch another team?" Or you? Like, oh, whatever. Anyway, Thanks for coming on, Matty. How have you been, mate, during this whole lockdown situation? Obviously, last time we did a bit of a manager chat, and we never thought we'd be here a year later, but here we are.
No. I mean, look, let's be honest, it's just depressive. I don't think there's anything else you can say. It leaves such a big hole in our lives. Anybody who's involved in grassroots, non-league football, even going to support your team at a professional level, it leaves such a big hole, and it's been a tough old ride. And you're quite right. Moving on now from where we were last year, I couldn't have imagined that gap would have been the same. To be honest, it doesn't feel like we've actually gone anywhere. Does it move anywhere?
No. We've got some questions for you, bud. So I will crack on with them, lads. As I say, go easy on them. Walsall, Shrewsbury. That's not what it's about. But,
we're all friends on here, Dan. We're all friends on here.
We are, correct. Guys, if you're watching, get your questions in the comments below. We will do our best to get through them. So first and foremost, Matty, as I said, it's been a while. It seems like a lifetime since you last played a game, and you've only actually played, is it 3 in the league? 3, I think?
Four.
There you go. That's my research down the bloody drain. How's it been, mate? How have you been keeping the lads motivated, keeping them prepared for when this season might get back?
Well, half the job's done with my lot, innit, really? Some of the characters in the group, they're like Cracker Jacks, Jack in the boxes. So, half the job's done. They keep each other entertained. The WhatsApp group's popping off, stupidly all day, every day. So that isn't a problem. Obviously, what the problem is, the competitive edge they're missing. It's the time scales, not knowing, they're keeping themselves fit. And I trust them to do so. We have got a WhatsApp group. I'm sure all the clubs have, to keep track of fitness and whatnot. But it's just not knowing the time scale, and that's the difficult part. Is just making sure that motivation is kept to a certain level for the the restart, whenever that might be. To be honest, but no, they're doing all right, and we're doing well. The backroom staff and I are working hard to just make sure everyone's all right. The well-being's okay, and that's all we can do at the moment, I'm afraid.
It's a tough one because, like you say, we don't know when this is going to end. It seems to just keep going and going.
That's the hardest part, mate.
Oh, it's mad, mate. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I think we are starting to see the numbers come down. Me and Vaughany and Paul were talking about it off air there. I think hopefully, we can see an end here. But the one thing I sort of wanted to know, and I talked to you a bit via message, but I never really asked you about this because, as I say, it's a team thing. But with regards, it's non-contract, as we know, in the level that you are there.
Yeah.
Is it hard to keep an eye on the players, and also, do you have that worry and concern that anybody could come in and try and snap them up and take them elsewhere? Or
well, I mean, look, that's a double-edged sword, really, because of course we never try and hold anyone back from bettering themselves and playing at higher levels. So of course we'll always support players if that was the case. Yes, there's been occasions when, of course, there's clubs at a similar level who, we haven't got the greatest budget in the world by any stretch of imagination. And of course, I think I had the situation last season. We'd done so well. The Express and Star kept saying, look, he hasn't got a budget. And then all of a sudden, you got managers reading that, thinking, well, I can pinch him. Because quite rightly so, if you're going to offer people, I don't know, so 50, 60 quid, which we'd love to do, you're going to offer 50, 60 quid to a lad who, and that can go towards his mortgage, his car, or holiday. They're gonna think twice at that. But myself and Jay Coyney, my manager, assistant manager, we do our due diligence. We'd like to think that anybody being brought into the club, of a certain character and whatnot. I trust them. I trust a lot of them. There's occasional, you get a bad egg who makes it through. Not mentioning any names, but on the whole, that's a different story. On the whole, no, I trust them, and no, it's not a problem for us really.
It's a massive word, trust, isn't it? Especially in the game that we're in, it is. You've got to be able to trust the players. As I said, we're in a situation where you're not seeing them face to face. They're not able to train. Quite rightly, as you said there, and we'll go on to this in a second. You've got a really, really good squad there, haven't you? The squad that you've got is really strong. The lads, Coyney and Vaughany, I didn't watch you last season. I watched you a few times, and you seem to strengthen in the areas that I didn't think you really needed to strengthen in. But bringing these lads in, they've taken your team to the next level. It's just the problem that you've had, and I think that speaks for a lot of football teams, is there's no games, so you're not able to get your consistency up. You're not able to get a bit of fluidity there, are you?
No, that's absolutely right. And consistency is massive as well, because last year, obviously, we were going on winning runs and we were able to field the same team every week. And that consistency is massive, and it's so important to obviously doing good things. when you haven't got that, kind of opportunity to be consistent, and the games are stop-start, and there was gaps in between because of teams not being able to play for COVID, it gives other sides who maybe are rotating a lot, it gives them a chance, on the day against you, when normally maybe last year that they might have struggled. And fair play to them, it's people taking their opportunities. But yeah, no, it's quite difficult. We need the run of games to build the consistency.
As I said, I watched you a few times last season, and I filled the lads in before about this. Last season, you were the form team before the whole lockdown situation. You were, you got yourself into that top 4 position that was promotion. To me, looked like you were a shoe-in to do it. I think you played a lot of the tougher teams, and it was the word again, consistency. You were consistently just grinding out results. You weren't losing. Obviously, that got cancelled. Massive, kick in the teeth for you guys. You have to get the lads back up, motivated again. We start again this season, and then we're in the same situation. Is the mentality there still to go for promotion, or is it just, look, we need to get football back first?
Firstly, I've got to say shout out to Shifnal as well, and Bilston Town last season, who were probably in just that little. Well, Shifnal goes without saying, they were smashing it. They were the form team of the league. Bilston were probably then next. They were flying and they were coming up strong. But you're right in what you're saying. We played tough fixtures. We got them all out of the way, and we felt that the running was a little bit easier, even though you can't ever bank on that. So shout out to those two sides. Moving forward, no, I think it has to be kind of, you have to look to improve, look at ways where you can improve. Like you said, we recruited in areas we felt we could do better. And so therefore, it was definitely the key is to get promoted, whether that will be March, April, whether it'll be August, September, I don't know. But the key is definitely promotion. That's the plan. That's the hope.
I think the biggest question, I suppose, and I don't know about if Vaughany and Coyney have got anything before I finish this. Do you think the season will continue, or do you think it will go?
Myself,
yeah,
I think it'll go. If I'm being honest, let's not try and be diplomatic about this. I think we've got no chance. Yes, of course, we'd like the opportunity. I'm sure there's a lot of players out there, managers, coaches who just want to play football. They want to be involved. They miss that. I'll give my right arm to play Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Just to get that involvement back, just to get that feeling back with my lads and to compete. But I don't think the FA will go for it. I really don't. And obviously, we're kind of dictated to about what happens higher up in the steps. But no, being honest, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it'll be null and void.
Spot on. Anything from you, boys?
Just there's a couple of things I'm curious about, Matty. You're talking about your WhatsApp group, and it's obvious that you as a manager have provided a lot of support to your players, and the players have got support from each other. But for you as a coach and as a manager, what support has been available to you throughout this time from people outside the club, so to speak, from the league itself?
Well, from outside the club, that's a good question. Outside the club, I suppose friends, family, even people like Dan, non-league enthusiasts. There's loads of people who reach out and kind of ask you, how are you? And you're all in the same boat, aren't you? Really, we're all kind of football nuts. So that's pleasing. But what I must say is that I'm very, very lucky. Jay, Aaron, all my backroom staff, Phil, we're very lucky that we've got such a supportive group of directors who are always checking in on us, asking how we are, checking on the lads, constantly updating us, in constant dialogue with us, and that's reassuring, and that has helped massively. So with that and the support of friends and family, we're just getting by. But it's a good question. Sometimes it can feel a little bit lonely, especially being a manager. But no, I'm quite lucky in that respect, mate.
Do you get any support from the league itself, or from the local football associations, or does that go to more like your chairman and your board of directors?
Right, again, right. I said earlier I can't be diplomatic. I have to be diplomatic on this one, I suppose. Look, just
before you add to that, Matty, right? I spent all afternoon getting my questions down, and he comes in with these two questions, makes himself sound like fucking sports. Brilliant.
We'll have a rejig, maybe.
Right. Just a couple of things I'm curious about from my own.
No problem. That's good. Look, could the support be better from the league? I'm sure it could. There's always room for improvement. The FA, I think, have learnt a lot from the first time, from what I can see. It does seem a little bit, well, for example, the survey, we didn't have that kind of survey, that kind of detailed survey the first time around to kind of gauge what clubs wanted. So of course that's an improvement. So they have improved on that. Look, the directors and the chairman do deal with the FA, so I can't really comment fully, but it does seem to me that the FA have been a little bit better, and I suppose the league could always do better.
I think what you said there, Matty, actually, in terms of the league finishing, we touched on it last week, didn't we, guys, in terms of whether we think leagues will finish. And I think just by the virtue that, you've only played sort of 4 games. I know I went to watch Shifnal early in the season, had a decent cup run, and I think they've played 7 fixtures maybe. I do fear for it, because I think at the end of the day, teams just haven't played enough football to probably warrant finishing it. So it probably will get pulled. But, if it does maybe come back, whether teams can play, I don't know, friendlies in April, May, or like little mini tournaments, or do something outside the box, maybe. The only question I've got for you, actually, if you're looking after the lads on WhatsApp and sort of like looking after their training and that, is there any kind of quite bizarre training regimes any of the guys have taken up?
Is that, well, I suppose there's all. No, not really. They're very limited.
Keeping it clean as well,
Yeah, should I mention that?
It's after 9 o'clock, lads. Say what you want.
Yeah, a couple of them are questioning whether they're sticking to social distancing with certain apps on the phone and that. But anyway, no, I think look, there's no weird and wonderful ones. No one's skiing, or no one's no, it's quite standard. The jogging, the cycling, and stuff like that. I wish there's a better answer for you there, Vaughany.
It's just wondered, because sometimes people come up with weird and wonderful things to do, don't they? It's yeah.
I tried the couch to 5K. That was weird enough for me. I didn't bother again.
That does surprise me, Daniel.
Oh, honestly, I struggle to tie my laces up at the moment. It's that bad. I think I'm going to need to come to pre-season with you lot.
Well, you're more than welcome, mate. I'm sure.
Not a chance, mate. Aaron Archer would have me in hospital, I think, with his body. So obviously, I feel like we've kind of gone at you with these questions, Matty. So what my question is now is, we've got a massive chat about racism coming up shortly. Let's try and lighten the mood a little bit. Can you let us in on any stories that you might have had during your career as a football manager, perhaps? Is there anything at all?
Well, there's loads. I've got a book, clean ones. How clean we've got to be?
It's after 9, mate.
What's our target audience? It's past Watershed, isn't it?
I'm going to snap another beer open. I'm going to enjoy this, I think. There's some great. I've got some great memories. Some bollocks on the physio table at Wolves United, who were very early on in my management career. I suppose that one. We got off a coach in Church Stretton the once when I was with Sea Hunters, and very diverse bunch of lads, of course. And I think they were a bit shocked to see us bowl into the little off licenses raiding the shelves there. No, I think I'll go with the chicken one. I think it's animal rights. It's fine. The chickens were looked after. So we were on the back of a loss at Sea Hunters, and I thought, the mood needs change. We need to lighten something up here. Try and put a smile on the lads' faces. So I don't know. I have these mad ideas. I dreamt up this idea. Right, I know what I'm going to do. I'll do a bit of a book. I like a gamble. We're on the back of the coach with the cards and whatnot. I thought I'll do a bit of a book. So I said to the lads, look, I want you to all bring a couple of quid on to training on Thursday. We're going to be putting a bet on. Winner takes all. Competition winner takes all. So yeah, sound, gaffer sound. They're all, you know what I mean? They're loving it. And Thursday comes. Well, anyway, what I thought is I'd love to see if one of the lads could catch a chicken, like the Rocky films. I've always wanted to know, surely to God, can actually someone catch a chicken like that? So I goes on Gumtree, and I find a guy who's selling a couple of chickens from West Brom. And so I arranged to meet him in the car park before training, just before the lads get there. And, it was Wolverhampton University, quite, really nice facilities and whatnot. And so, I turn up early. It's a bit dark, and I'm looking for this guy and finding him here. And I felt, feels like I'm doing some, mad criminal activity. It was just a weird feeling. And he says, yeah, I'm in this car. So I goes, he goes, just the 2 chickens, is it, mate? I says, oh, no, I don't really want one. He went, well, you can have
you can have another one for an extra £5. And anyway, I ended up getting these 2 chickens. So I put the one in the car, and all the lads was over on the AstroTurf. And there's other bookings there as well. There's other clubs. Anyway, I go over with this box, and all the lads are looking. I said, right, put your money down. And the money started getting put down. I says, right, first one to catch his chicken wins the money, and their faces drop. Opens the box, shuffles his chicken out, making sure its well-being is of course, always at the front of my mind. And so then I said, first one to catch it, lads, gets the money, and they're all scrambling around for it, and the chicken's going mad. There's other bookings looking, thinking what's going on there. And eventually someone caught the chicken. Like I say, he wasn't harmed at all. He got placed safely back in the box. But that was quite funny.
You say it wasn't harmed. This poor chicken's like sat in a box thinking, fucking hell, it's dark in here. Opens up and there's like 20 blokes running after it.
Yeah, well, a couple of funny things on the back of it as well. What pissed the lads off even more was my cousin, who was after some weight loss. He was looking to do something for weight loss. He jumped on the session. He ended up having to go and winning the money. So it wasn't actually one of our lads who was winning the money.
Oh, mate.
The chickens. Then I thought, what am I going to do with these chickens? I haven't planned out what I'm going to do here. So quickly found around a couple of lads. One of my mates, Reiki, he loves his animals, and his garden's already like a farm. So listen, have you got room for 2 chickens? He's like, yeah, send them over. So they were well looked after, and they lived a very long and prosperous life.
Excellent. I used to keep chickens. I can tell you, they're not easy things to catch.
It was quite amusing. It was a dive. If I remember right, it was a diving stretch as well to grab. So
that's ace.
No chickens.
That's ace.
I wasn't expecting that, mate. I gotta be honest. Do you know what you mentioned about jumping off the bus to an off license? I remember I went to watch you guys in the FA Vars against Wellingborough. And we went there. Should have won the game. I will say I should have won the game. The reason I'm bringing it up is I didn't know any of you really. So you'd all been very kind to let me come on the team bus, and we went up there and watched the game, and all that. Anyway, Aaron Archer says, "Come on, mate, get on the bus," and we're going. So I get on the bus, and I said, "Where's the gaffer and where's the captain?" He goes, "Oh, they'll be back in a minute." Paul, Lee, I'm not joking when I say we walked on with like 3-4 crates of beer, and I was like,
"Good lads."
Yeah, well,
the bus on the way back, it was freedom to the Lions. It was mad.
Win, lose or draw. It's about brotherhood, isn't it? You go for the social side of things more, just as much as the competitive side. So win, lose or draw. We always stick together and have a good time, and I think that's what it's about.
It's a good attitude to have. Good attitude to have. Yeah,
massively.
I think any player that I speak to a few guys who played Welsh Prem on quite a regular basis, and the one thing that they always remember about away trips is the bus journey. It's never the matches. They can't tell you the details about what happened in the match or who scored what goals, but they can tell you every single story from the bus journey home and what happened in the bus journey home. Who fell over when you stopped off for a piss on the way back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Things like that.
Definitely, the memories. You're right, Coyney, you're right. And what's good now is, of course, with modern technology and WhatsApp and Snapchat and whatnot, it's nice to actually see other teams as well. You can see, on a Saturday evening, you'll see other teams and them having a good time and stuff like that. It's good. It's massive.
Yeah, I think you got to remember as well. I mean, a lot of the, Matty, whether it's Walsall or Dudley or Shrewsbury or kind of whatever, at the end of the day, you've got to. With Walsall Shrewsbury fans, 90% of the time supporting teams like that, it's just a bit crap, isn't it? So the day out and everything that goes with it is actually what you remember. I mean, over the years, there's been various trips here and various trips there. The 90 minutes of football, actually, to be quite the majority of the time, pales into insignificance. Yeah. It's usually the day out, isn't it, that you remember, not the football.
Absolutely right. And half the time, it's good to get drunk after because it numbs the pain, doesn't it? As well?
Oh yeah.
May have numbed the pain for you, Matty, but I had to get the train back, and my train got delayed for an hour. I was stood in Dudley with my camera, doing stuff like this. What the hell am I going to do now? But actually, I will. Before we move on, I just want to touch on something about Dudley and Vaughany, Coyney. I'm going to drag you to a game when we've got this back. Displayed it at Dudley, and I think Matty will agree here. It's a brotherhood there, isn't it? It really is a brotherhood there.
No, it is. It really is, and we base everything on that. It has to be because when the chips are down and you've got to, you're in the trenches, you need to know that you can rely on each other. For those hard times, it's all right. When things are going great, that's fine. You can be the best football team in the world, but it's test of character when the chips are down, and that's why the brotherhood is so important. And quite lucky that over the years I've kind of, me and Jay, we've kind of worked out ways, or we think we have, to at least get that, at very least, hard work and brotherhood.
I know. Just want to touch on quickly that one of your coaches is departing, Tom.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
was he the goalkeeping coach?
No, he's been helping out Aaron, so as a first team coach, kind of another set of hands and eyes. So yeah, we're devastated to be losing Tom, but we knew this day was coming. He works in India as a professional, as a coach. So lockdown, obviously, we've had him for a lot longer. So we knew this day was coming, but no, I want to say thank you, put on record, say thank you very much for your help with Dudley Town, from me, the lads, the directors, the chairman, everybody. He's been a great help. He's a great character to have in the dressing room. He's got some stories as well, let me tell you, Tom. So we'll miss him. So yeah, thank you, Tom.
Brilliant stuff. I wish I'd have made a bloody slide for that. Think of what I could have done. The lovely music. I could ruin it for myself now. Daniel Wilson says the chicken, laughing.
That's not goalkeeping coach now, Dan, I think, yeah.
Right, okay. Dan knows then, definitely.
Dan, just one more thing, please. I've got a shout out. I've got to do this, else I'll be letting someone down. Todd and Kyle Perry, a couple of non-league legends.
Todd Perry, mate. Nice guy in non-league, love him. That's
it. Kyle's a great character as well. Todd plays for me at the moment, and Kyle's a good friend of mine now, thankfully through Todd. Just a quick one, they've set up their new website, cheap plug here, kaitoapparel.com, for all your printing needs, whether it be workwear, football wear, t-shirts, mugs, anything like that printing, hit them up, kaitoapparel.com.
I might have to go to that. You want, sorry, Paul?
Kyle played for Telford for a while.
That's right. Yeah,
he did. Yeah.
Definitely finisher in non-league, he is.
Well, mate, he's playing for Kettering at the moment. Things are going really well. He's in form. The manager's giving him a good run of games. He trusts him, and Kettering have been flying. He's a great guy. He's a great character.
Mate, when you said I'm gonna have to do this, I honestly thought you were gonna shout "fuck her in the pussy" and turn the camera off. So it's all right. You can talk away.
Dan, I feel just as cheap doing that shout out. I've sold myself the devil.
No worries, mate. Well, I feel kind of bad now because we're having some fun here. And guys, if you're watching, get your comments in the comment section below. Happy to have a chat now. I'm gonna dampen the mood a little bit, but it's just something that I feel needs to be discussed, needs to be spoken about. It's been a shit week in the sense of racism rearing its ugly head again. Now, I'm not saying that racism has only just come back for a week. It's been in the game for a very long time, but it just seems this last week it's amplified so much more. And the players involved, and I've got them here. We've got Rashford, Twanzebe, Alex Yankowicz for Southampton, Reece James, Romain Sawyers, Anthony Martial, Rudiger, and Ian Wright. This week they have been subjected to what can only be described as just disgusting abuse. Now, I think we're all in agreement. There's no room in the game for it. There's no room in modern day for it. Now, my view before I go on to, and I'll come to you, Coyney, first, is I think social media should be held accountable for this now. I genuinely think if your phone can sit there and listen to what you're saying and come up with adverts on your bloody Facebook stream, you're telling me that they can't find these idiots who are just making these fake profiles. And let's be honest, they're not football fans. We all know that. We all completely agree with that. But for me, I think it's the lowest of the lowest, and it's something that really, really needs to disappear and fast. What about you, Coyney?
Well, where do I start, Dan? Where do I start? One point that I'll almost slightly disagree with is that it's become, it's really reared its head again over the last week. I don't think it has. I think it's progressively getting worse over a number of years now. And we were having a conversation earlier when we mentioned the Luis Suarez incident. That was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago, which is frightening. And to think we're still in a situation now in 2021 where football is done, in my opinion, very, very little. I won't say absolutely nothing, because there have been some attempts to combat this, but football as a game, and the authorities involved, in my opinion, have done very, very little to combat this. There's some fantastic charities out there and organisations who do some really, really, really good work. Show Racism the Red Card as an example. But as a sport, my God, how are we still in this situation now? We spoke earlier, Dan, about education. What education goes on at early ages during the game? Yeah. Very, very little. I know in some academies they have talks, but it shouldn't just be in academies. It should be in school. It should be on the curriculum.
Yeah.
How is it not on the curriculum for young kids to learn what is what is right and what is wrong?
Yeah.
And moving up to professional players as well, the Vaughany incident a number of weeks back. How is that possible that can happen in 2020 or 2021?
Yeah.
How is he coming into the Premier League and he's not getting sat down by someone and saying, look, these are the words that might be acceptable, or you might think they're acceptable in your home country. It is not acceptable to use that to use these terms on social media or at any time moving forward, and just educating the players as well.
Yeah.
And all that stuff that I've just said there doesn't even touch on these scumbags who are sitting online, who have very, very little accountability, because they can sit behind a profile, their online profile, or sometimes a fake profile, and say what they want to people because they've got a direct line to them through Twitter.
Yeah.
And then from that, you go on and you say, well, what are Twitter and Facebook and Instagram? I think that's the same company. What are these organisations doing about it? They're doing nothing.
No.
They're doing absolutely nothing. And then you move on again. And Matty, I don't know if you've come across incidents at the level that you're managing at, but I'll bring up, Dan, about this incident 2 years ago where one of my players was racially abused on a football pitch in a semi-final of a local competition that come under the jurisdiction of the FA. Actually racially abused a number of times on the pitch. That player got a 8-match ban, and the next time we played that team, he was lining up against us. For me, the only way that we can combat this is if you get found guilty of racial abuse on a football pitch, you get a lifetime ban from playing. If you're a supporter in a crowd and you racially abuse a player on that pitch, lifetime ban. You're not allowed in the sport. Get out. That's, to me, it needs to be that hard line now. Use people as an example, get them out the sport and deal with it properly, because that's what these organisations aren't doing now. We're not dealing with it properly at all. It's continuing, and it's there, on a now almost daily basis. Like
it's horrendous. It's horrendous.
Something needs to be done about it. It really, really does.
Like in the time you've just said that, I could have gone and created 3 or 4 profiles by now, and I could be on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, doing what the hell I want. It's something that's not going. It's not going away. And before I come to you, Matty, because I mean, obviously being a football manager, I think you were shaking your head quite vigorously there. So I will come to you. But Vaughany, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Paul's given quite a good overview there, hasn't he, of everything that we're probably thinking. I mean, the only thing I would sort of probably add to that is that I thought the Ian Wright case in the week was a bit of a strange one, because the guy that was over in Ireland that they found that was making the comments, I think the judge actually ruled that he felt that it wasn't worthy or beneficial of a custodial sentence. So it was only just a sort of a rap on the back of the hand, and then he sort of gets on with it. Now, just following on really with what Paul said there, if a player is found guilty, kick him out of the game for good. If a supporter, as fans of football, we're found to be doing that, then that's it. You're kicked out the stadiums. That's it. You never come back again. It was a bit of a bizarre comment to make, that they felt that it wasn't worthy of a custodial sentence or something harsher, because unless you actually start making it realistically harsh, then people just carry on doing it, won't they? Yeah. And the strange thing I find with it seems to be a lot of youngsters doing it. So I mean, when I was growing up, 70s and 80s watching football, obviously racism was fairly prevalent, and there was some horrendous things that went on. And, you know, you got crowds of people singing songs and everything that kind of went with that. And I've got to be honest, we've progressed on quite a long way from that. I think, okay, you hear things occasionally, but I think that is a lot better. Not that that's the be all and end all, but just saying that it's better, because it needs to go completely. But I could understand it, but I thought it was a generational thing where people from, you know, probably my age or older were sort of doing this. But it's not. It's youngsters. It seems to be youngsters all the time, and I don't understand that.
No, there's no accountability for them. There's nothing.
Just on the Ian Wright case as well, I believe that the judge also said that he lessened the sentence because Ian Wright publicly forgave the person. And then Ian Wright's come out and said quite rightly as well, well, I didn't, just because I forgave him, didn't mean to say that he shouldn't be, he should be punished as he should be. It was almost like the judge saw an opportunity not to give a heavier sentence or a heavier punishment, and he took it. But how does that help? If anything, it makes the case worse, because Ian Wright's obviously a thoroughly decent bloke who's seen it in his heart to forgive this guy for something horrendous. But then he's almost got got another kick, so to speak, because the guy's not got a proper punishment.
And that's the bizarre thing, isn't it? I mean, if somebody came in and burgled your house and stole your car, if you turn around to them and said, right, okay, well, I forgive that person for what they've done, well, the judge then wouldn't sort of say, oh, okay, well, we'll just leave it be then. You still go to jail for whatever time for nicking your car and robbing whatever they did from your house. So in all fairness, it doesn't get you off that custodial sentence. So I don't see what the difference is with this. Like you said, Ian Wright said what he said, but that was almost, I got the feeling that was almost more for Ian Wright's peace of mind rather than anything else, really.
It's a shit situation. Matty, before I come to you, Jonathan Clark says, Matty, great manager, gave me a chance with Dudley Town as goalkeeper coach last season and helped me when I was down with mental health. I've never been part of a team like Matty has at Dudley. Absolutely quality. Testament to you there, Matty. I certainly won't point out that when I said comments, you went.
Yeah, I'm blind as a bat.
So, I mean, touching on that, Matty, obviously, I'd never ask you to sort of go into naming names or anything like that. But I mean, is it something that sadly you've witnessed being part of a team, managing as a team?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out I was manager of Sea Hunters, and those guys there. I mean, shout out to them. What they've had to endure since the '60s, from when that club was made from a team of immigrant workers. You imagine how difficult that was for them in the late 60s, 70s, you know, rocking up against teams in Walsall and kind of playing pub teams and whatnot in the pub leagues. I mean, that must have been dreadful. And I mean, I've heard stories that are absolutely despicable. Moving forward, though, as manager of Sea Hunters, I'll be honest, prior to being manager of Sea Hunters, had you said to me, do you think racism is a massive problem in football? I probably would have said no, because, travelling around watching Walsall and as Vaughany alluded to be fair, in the stadiums, it's pretty much eradicated. It's a lot more family feel in a football stadium now. And of course, Walsall's predominantly, it's working class. I wasn't really experiencing it. I wasn't seeing it. I'm not saying I didn't think it was there. As soon as I was manager of Sea Hunters, I got it. I totally got it, because every single week, every time he wore the badge, with the symbol on the badge, every time we had I had a player maybe with a turban on or religious banding, the kind of the things that went on, the hardships, the barriers we had to face every single week made the job even more difficult than just managing a normal team, and it's just not acceptable. And that comes from the very top, because as Coyney and Vaughany both said, not enough is done. The punishments need to be harsher, and then it'll make people think twice. As for the little sconners that are doing it now, and I'm sorry, they're just little cowards who are doing it behind the screen. A couple of things. One, you're right. How come if I want to set up a betting account, all right? If I want to set up a betting account tonight, I'd have to spend a considerable amount of time taking a photo of my passport ID. something like that, some form of ID with your address on, proof of where you live, this and that. Why are Twitter and Facebook not doing this? I don't get it. It's such a simple solution. Okay, yeah, it might inconvenience us, of course it might, and they might lose a few sign-ups over it. But come on, it soon stops the problem, because these little scanners will think twice about doing it. Let's be honest about it. It's not enough's being done, and yeah, it's disappointing. And I feel it. Again, we're quite a diverse team at Dudley Town, and when things are going on, these incidents are happening. It has an effect on things. It does. I can see how upset certain members of my squad are, and it's not acceptable. And I don't know where we go from here. What needs to happen? Does someone need to be seriously hurt before that? Someone needs to be stabbed, or someone needs to be shot, or so what needs to be happen before they really stamp this out?
I said, and I said this on Twitter, and I stand by what I said. It may sound a bit too deep, I suppose, but the day that this goes too far, and be it any race, the player can't take it anymore and does something stupid, and takes their own life, the blood will be on the hands of the social media provider. It will, because they can do more. When it comes to marketing, they're there. They're bang, bang, bang. They want all the information off you. It seems with this, it just seems they can just forget about it. It's not right. For me, I think, do you know what? I would love it if they had keywords, that cropped up. The second you put any racial word, bang, it displays the location. I'd love something like that. I would. Bang.
I think actually, I'm sure the other day actually I come across this. I went to put something on Strava. I'm doing a bit of running myself, to be fair. I tried to keep me fit. But I tried to. I'd just done a run and I was absolutely knackered. And I put in I tried to type in something along those lines of I'm absolutely, and it wouldn't let me. It actually come up and said you can't type that word in. I had to put an asterisk or change it. What?
Yeah. Do you know? And it's these bloody emojis they put up. I mean, for Christ's sake, is it going to ruin someone's life if you can't have a monkey emoji on your phone? Is it going to send people into meltdown if they can no longer put a bloody monkey on there?
I get that, but I mean you shouldn't need to come to that damn bloody
hell. You're right. I agree.
Come to that. It shouldn't. It comes from education and it comes from authorities doing more to stop it. Simple as that. Let's hope.
Let's hope that we're not having the same conversation in 10 years. Well, I hope we're having a conversation in 10 years. I hope that by then I've been in Celebrity Big Brother. Coyney's been on Soccer Aid. I hope it's really, I'm joking. But what I'm saying is
Soccer Aid or Soccer AM?
Both, mate. Whichever you want.
I'll just stick to try and run around after chickens, try and catch chickens, I think.
No, I think yeah. Well, I think what we've said there. I mean, the other thing I'm sort of skeptical of is I don't want to give them too much airtime, but I think it's good to be able to have that conversation. It's good to hear the story there from Matty, and there's something before I go that really sort of hit home. Is you're completely right. People don't walk a mile in someone's shoes. That's what I always say. And these people, these cowards, just they don't think. They just post. They're not fans of the game. They're not good people. And as far as I'm concerned, they're scum of the earth and belong in the bottom of a river. That's what I'll say. Anyway, next. Right, this week in football. In fact, Matt, I'm going to come to you after the video's been played, mate, and tell me what your thoughts are.
No problem.
What do you reckon? Red card?
Yeah, it's a red card. There's no getting away from that. I love a tackle. You know what I mean? My lads love a tackle. And I'm sure maybe, there's been certain occasions you say, look, listen, first 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at a push, you've got this opportunity to get yourself let yourself be known, or you might even target a player and say, look, he needs a bit of treatment early doors. I don't know if that was the case with Ralph at Southampton, the gaffer, but the lad on his debut, he's certainly been overzealous there, and bless him. He's probably got himself too pumped. Adrenaline's flowing, and it's a shocker. It's a naughty one.
You just picture the gaffer saying to him, right, first 5 minutes, let's keep it tight. Nothing silly.
Yeah.
Bang, yeah. He goes. Yeah. Vaughany, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, actually, just following on to that reminds me of a game it's probably going to about 20 years ago now. I think it was Sheffield United against West Brom. And there's two players, George Santos and Patrick Sufo. I don't know if you remember the guys.
I remember
but they were sat on the bench, and actually the game just sort of descended into a complete mayhem. I think the game ended up getting abandoned. Remember that? And George Santos, they sent him on. They sent George Santos and Patrick Sufo on, and the pair of them had been sent off within about 30 seconds. So you're on about getting pumped up and kind of whatever. George Santos had cleared one of the West Brom players out, who I think had fouled him the previous season, smashed his cheekbone or something. Yeah. So it was obviously a bit of retribution. So they're obviously sat on the bench together, pumping each other on. Neil Warnock sent them on, and these two have been sent off in about 30 seconds. So
you got the blame there, mate. Neil Warnock, he'll be riling him on the bench, won't he?
Well, yes.
Andy Johnson. It was Andy Johnson who was the player who was fouled. He did a podcast about a year ago, and he said that he'd heard that Warnock had said to George Santos, "Look, I'm releasing you at the end of the season, but I'll put you on in this game, and I'll give you enough time to do Andy Johnson."
Really?
On his podcast, yeah. So you wonder if that's true or not, don't you?
I know he's a character, Warnock, but I'm not having that. I wouldn't like to think so anyway.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
No,
but,
it's not.
That's what Johnson said on his podcast. But you never.
I mean, other fouls that sort of like spring to mind. I suppose Roy Keane.
Yeah.
On Alfie and Haaland.
Yeah.
The other one actually that always sort of springs to mind. I don't know whether you guys remember it or have seen the clip. It was the first World Cup that I ever watched when I was a kid in 1982, and it was a semi-final where the West German goalkeeper came out and cleared Patrick Battiston out, and he just totally snapped him off, killed the guy. It was Schumacher, yeah. The bizarre thing is, he didn't even get a yellow card. The referee didn't even book him, did he? It's just like
shot it off back to his goal, innocent.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Lost 2 teeth, broken jaw, ribs, and all sorts.
I think his heart stopped on the pitch. He was in a real bad way, wasn't he? Yeah, he was in a real bad way.
I've been quite lucky actually. I've never really, in my illustrious playing career, I've never been on the end of a bad tackle, but I remember breaking a guy's ankle by complete accident, and that was horrible. Gone in 50-50, and his studs had stuck in the ground because the pitches we play on certainly weren't Wembley. They were boggy pitches, and I just remember going in and thinking I can't stop myself, and the noise it made, it was absolutely disgusting. And these tackles, I mean, the one that springs to mind for me, one of the worst ones was the Shawcross one on Ramsey. That was bad. That wasn't it? And I felt, do you know what? Actually, I felt for Shawcross because he was in absolute bits, wasn't he? I don't think he'd gone in there to, nearly take his leg off. But there's been some awful tackles about, hasn't there? Really, in the past.
I think the other one there, just thinking there, I think it was Martin Taylor on Eduardo.
Yes,
Arsenal. That was another. And again, it wasn't intentional. It was just one of those things. And at the end of the day, most of these bad challenges, nobody goes out there to purposely injure an opponent, do they? They are just accidents, fortunately. But unfortunately, things like that do happen.
No, they do. They do. You're going to say something there, Paul?
I'm just going to say they don't go out to intentionally injure someone, apart from the Roy Keane one.
Apart from the Roy Keane one.
Yeah.
I think, didn't he say in his book, I won't use the exact word, but take that, you...
Carrot.
Yeah. He purposely went out to do him, didn't he?
Yeah. In fact,
the tackle on that Haaland had done on him 4 years earlier that broke snapped his cruciate, didn't it? I think he said afterwards, take that, you, and don't ever stand over me talking about faking an injury again.
Yeah,
because Keane was on the floor, and Haaland when Keane was in agony on the floor, Haaland went and aggressively said something. So you can kind of, you see where Keane may have been coming from. Not agreeing with him, but yeah, definitely.
There was 4 years worth of anger in that challenge.
I say he holds a grudge, doesn't he? He wouldn't want to take his market face. Okay, moving on, guys. By the way, guys, if you're still watching, I can see there's a few of you. Get your comments in below. We want to know what your the worst tackles you've seen are, and also hit the subscription button as well. Keep the likes coming. Keep sharing it to your friends. We're having a beer and some good football talk tonight. Now, normally it's me that likes to be centre of attention. My wife will tell you that, but I have met my match in one person in Britain, in the world, I think, at the moment. His name is Mr. Mike Dean. My God, I think we all agree VAR, we're all against VAR, but this week, I think VAR got him to have a look at a couple of decisions, which I'll play in a sec, get your views on it. But ultimately, it was Mike Dean who I think took the decision to send both the players off. Now, we'll go with the first one, which is the Souček foul, with the elbow there in the Fulham game. Now, I mean, to me, that is literally they're having a bit of a jostle. He's tried to move out of the way. He's caught him. Mitrovic has not helped thing. He's dropped down like a sack, considering he's meant to be the Serbian hitman. What are we saying about that, boys? I don't think that's a red at all any day of the week.
I think you look at the movement of his arm, and I think if he's intending to hurt Mitrovic there, the action is completely different. Instead of lifting up his arm, his elbow would extend out like that, whereas it's a more moving the arm upwards. So yeah, obviously he's caught him, but it is a complete accident. And like you said, Mitrovic, you'd expect better from him. Although later on, if you want to speak up in his defence, you could say he did actually go across to the referee and say, okay, he didn't catch me, and you shouldn't send him off. But yeah, I think if Souček was going to hurt him at that point, then he was close enough to really hurt him, and I don't think he did.
What are your thoughts, Vaughany?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
What was that noise?
I think I need another drink. I don't know what happened there. So.
Cheers, Pete. Cheers.
I think I was making chicken noises, wasn't I? I've lost my train of thought completely now. I think I don't think VR helps things, actually, in all fairness, by only giving the referee just the one view, because I think it was inconclusive really last night for the one view that you had, and Mike Dean took an age to make his mind up. So I think he still sent him off on the basis, and I don't think he's completely sure. Because I don't think from that angle you can be completely sure. And I think, all these different TV angles that, that you can get, I can't understand how VAR can't have, from behind a goal or from the other side, or, and I think, to be quite honest, if you'd had a view sort of behind the goal there, it would have probably proved that, well, yeah, as Paul said, he's caught him, hasn't he? But he hasn't intentionally, in a Roy Keane kind of way, gone to do him, has he? So, yeah, I think the amount of time that Mike Dean actually stood there looking at that, I don't think he's sure.
No. What about you, Matty?
Well, I've got to say, I think the refs get not an easy ride. That's not the right term. They're defined by the law. The letter of the law is too much of a cop out for him, isn't it? So Mike Dean, all he'll say is, "Look, I follow the letter of the law." His elbow's caught him in the face, which it has, and he's gone. There's no common sense, is there? They're not allowed to think for themselves. It's the same as we've seen a couple of tackles recently. Sorry to go off. A couple of tackles recently where the tackles have been fair. They've won the ball. The referees, have said, "Oh, it's a red card." Why? Well, because you've used excessive force. That is the letter of the law. I mean, what excessive force is, and how a referee who doesn't know this player day to day and how he trains and how he was brought up, how someone can judge someone to say, "Oh, you've used excessive force," is beyond me. They're defined by the letter of the law, which gives them this cop out, and they're just like, "Well, letter of the law, excessive force," but he's won the ball. Well, same thing with Dean. I think there is, like you say, he wasn't sure, and he thought, "Well, what can I see? I can see an elbow rising up, which is probably to throw." He thought Mitrovic was going to come and grab him. Elbow coming up, it's caught his face, not intentionally. But letter of the law, you say, well, it's violent conduct. It's gone to elbow him. And I think there needs to be some common sense, some ground for the referees to to make the minds up if the rules can be loosened a little bit.
Well, some good points.
If we thought that one was farcical, Mike Dean decided to see that and raise it. Here we go.
Oh,
I mean, I'm a United fan, but Jesus Christ, that was awful.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, makes you wonder, don't it? It does. It really makes you wonder.
I mean, he just. Let's first, before we go into it, right? This is my thoughts on Mike Dean. Mike Dean wants to be Kalina, I think, in the sense that he wants all of the coverage like Kalina had. Kalina, I loved watching him. Players loved watching him. Mike Dean's got these confirmation videos out of him, is putting the cards up, staying away from flaying his hair. You're not there to be a celebrity. You're there to officiate a game. And I think the issue we've got here is I honestly think that VAR has said to him, have a look at it. We're not sure, but I don't think I think VAR have told him it's a penalty. I think that's what they've said. As far as a red card goes, I think if anything, the yellow card comes out for Martial. I might be wrong, and United fans who are watching might think I'm a bit of a turncoat for saying so, but I feel like Martial, which they're told to, strikers are told to, go down, of course they are, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
No. Yeah, that's a strange one. That is, I mean, you have to wonder what's going through his head, don't you? Or it makes you kind of wonder if there's something else going on, which I'm sure there's not. But you do it when it's blatantly obvious like that, and you're thinking, what are you watching? And there's been other, this is Mike Dean bashing, but there's been other incidents previously in the season where they're just not seeing the same as us, and it's, I don't know, strange.
There was actually one in the week, Matty, actually, I saw, which was the Burnley-Man City game, which was earlier in the week, where Tarkowski has taken out Gabriel Jesus in the box. The referee is there. It hasn't given a penalty. It's a clear penalty. Anyway, play just carries on, and it just pales into insignificance of the greater thing of the game. But actually, you kind of think, well, why has VAR not had a word there and said that was definitely a penalty? So going back to what I sort of said last week, really, it's sort of sometimes I find that VAR seems to poke its nose into things sometimes where you just wish it would bloody piss off, and then other times where something is obvious and then it doesn't actually say anything. It doesn't sort of come into the referee's ear and say, actually, you do need to look at this. Yeah,
it almost kind of mentally gives them something else to worry about and think about, and that maybe they lose track. I don't know.
Do you think, like, because that red card was overturned, do you think Mike Dean sat at home with his 50 pictures of himself on the wall, of all different effigies of himself with a whistle, with whatever? Do you think when that gets overturned, he sits there and thinks, oh, bollocks, what have I done? Of course he doesn't. No, of course he doesn't. He sits there and goes, I've got West Ham and Fulham, bollocks to that. What do you think, Coyney?
Well, to answer your question there, I don't think they particularly spend much time looking at it. I think maybe it's the same as a player. Maybe they wouldn't want to watch their performances back. I think I'm sure we'll go on to talk about referees in general in a bit. But on both of those instances, there, I think there's the sort of unwritten rule of refereeing, which referees do talk about. The unwritten rule, which is common sense, and I don't think it's been applied in either situation there. And maybe is it the case of that referee in question, as you said, just wanting to be the centre of attention, with the talk being about him. Maybe he's thinking at 6-0, people are going to talk about is Man United, they're not going to mention me. Let's try and at least have a bit of the analysis after the game focused on me. And then the same, it's a 0-0 draw, not much to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. Yeah. Just on the Man United game as well, we mentioned Dan, you and I mentioned it when we talked this afternoon. At 6-0, the game's gone. He doesn't need to give him a red card there. No. There is absolutely no need to send the boy off, because how does it affect the game? All it's going to do is make that guy miss a couple of matches. What would it be for that? Yeah, one match as a minimum. But it doesn't affect the game in question. Why not just, if you have to give the decision, give him a yellow card and then continue with the rest of the game? It's just it does seem to be the thought in his mind: how can we create the most headlines as opposed to what is the best decision for this particular incident?
Before we carry on about the referee talk, there, good points there, Coyney. Just some comments I need to quickly read out. Matty, a lot of love for you tonight, mate. Aaron Archer, worst tackling training on me. Ask Matty about that one. I love the fact you're laughing.
Absolutely.
Does this allude to Joe, the goalkeeper, saying any tackle on the lane?
We've got a young lad in the squad who's come up from the youth team. He knew. He's currently on loan at Willenhall Town, actually getting some experience. And so of course, obviously being a youngster, around the years, to get a bit of stick from the older lads and whatnot. So you can imagine the howls of excitement and delight when given a kind of a drop ball situation in the middle of the park. Ian, who's absolutely clattered Aaron. I mean, he spun him in the air. It's a terrible one. But I mean, we all found it highly hilarious, and Ian was a king and a legend forevermore since.
Well, lads, you've not seen Aaron. He's a big lad. If it was a drop ball, I would do this. I would go. Yeah, so
I mean, it wasn't a drop ball. I mean, the ball had landed in a perfect kind of 50-50 scenario, and the lad didn't get the point. Let's put it like that. The shot was going, I think, throughout the floor. I thought, earthquake in Willenhall at that point.
David Roberts, going back to the incident with Souček, says play acting by Mitrovic, not a red. Yellow at most, talking to the pair. And I think you're spot on there, David. I really do, mate. I think it is a case of that. It's just about managing the players. We'll go back onto the referees in a second, but I mean, Mitrovic, as I said, drops. Jesus Christ, it was embarrassing for a bloke his size and so-called hard man. It was.
Dan, listen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But is that not just giving his side the edge? We've got to look for small margins, and these guys are at the top of the game, and you've got to do whatever you can to gain an advantage and kind of get that edge. And playing devil's advocate here.
I'll tell you something, Matty. When I played the Paul's team, we were playing a team called Instones, and they are like in Sunday League. They win everything. They're boring, and I thought to myself, I'm playing at the back, and they had this lad. He was decent, and I thought, I'm just going to try and wind him up and get him to kick out at me. So get by him. I get my hand to squeeze his ass. He's like, "What are you doing?" Anyway, I managed to get hold of his cock. In his mind, and kicks me to the floor. I look up, like at the ref. I look at the ref, and he goes, "Your own fault, mate," and carried on. I was like, just been fucking kicked to the floor. Where's the justice? Another one for you, Matty. Sanjay, I'm so sorry, Sanjay. I'm going to say Malhai. I'm so sorry if I've said that wrong, buddy. Hi, great listening, gents. I'm a former captain of Matty's. I'm an Asian male. Racism has been there ever since I've been playing. Matty did a great job in protecting his players with his very diverse team. Manager, lots of respect. And before I let you answer that, Matty, I think that's something that I think a lot of players who play for you and play against you will say. You do back your players, don't you? That they're, as I said, that brotherhood.
Yeah, I think you've got to. You can't speak it and not back it up. You know what I mean? There's no point me going into the change room saying, "Look, lads, we're in this together," and blah blah blah, and then not follow it through, because that's not what a good leader should do, in my opinion. And actually, I was toying whether to talk about this, and I think Sanjay's probably led me down that path perfectly. Hello, Sanjay, by the way. He's a great lad, great captain, great footballer, very ferocious. So in pre-season, we had a situation where one of my players was actually, honestly, I mean, you're talking about one of the worst tackles you've seen. For this level of football, this was a bad tackle. I'm talking scythed him kind of, thigh high, and could have seriously, if the lad would have been grounded, it would have been quite a bad injury. And how do you accept that? What do you do? You know what I mean? There's not enough kind of protection for scenarios and situations like that. And I'm pleased to say that everyone stuck together on that particular occasion and gathered around the lad who was injured on the floor and protected him, because despicable. You've got to back your lads.
When I was kicked to the floor, my manager didn't come anywhere near me, did you, Paul? You just walked off, left me there.
Mate, I was too busy defending. I was playing alongside you that game, wasn't I?
You were, mate. We only conceded 4. That wasn't so bad.
best result we've had against them. We're 2 divisions higher now, and we lost 12. Was it 12 or? Yeah, I've tried to blank it out in my mind early in the season, but yeah, we conceded double figures, put it that way. So, me and you at centre half, mate, we didn't do a bad job that day.
We played a back 10.
Did the kick sizes all right for Dan, did they? Or what? How was he squeezing to the tops?
Sorry, mate, I didn't get that.
How was he squeezing into the kit? Did they have an appropriate kit? Did you have, or what?
Hey, I'll have you know, mate. I have. Well, actually, I'll tell you something funny. Actually, the reason I'm wearing a jumper and sweating my nuts off is because the t-shirt I put on, it looks like I've been painted into it. So I had to get a jumper on because I've got. Yeah, anyway, that's for the 11 o'clock show. That's the fans only page. Next,
changing the subject quickly there.
Completely. So going back to the referees quickly before we move on. I mean, I'll come to you first, Matty. I'm assuming it's a yes list, but have you ever been in a game where you've looked and thought this ref wants to be the centre of attention here? And how do you manage that? How do you manage your players in that scenario?
1,000,000%. I mean, it happens. You actually look down at your listing. I actually, when I get the fixtures and when the referees have been assigned, just as much as where are we playing and who we've got, I look at who's officiating. And you have to do your homework. You have to, because referees do like to be centre of attention, and some referees hold grudges as well. And I'd love to get a referee's opinion. I don't know if in the future, Dan, you're going to get a referee on. I know there's a couple of in the West.
We had one in mind, but
well, let me tell you,
we've got to get a ref on, Dan. We've got to get a ref on.
Referees do hold grudges, and it is all about them. And I'll stand shooting if I can be proved otherwise. But no, I've definitely had examples of that. And there's sometimes I look at it, I think, oh God, here we go. And you have to feed it back to the players. You have to almost work on it 3 days before, 4 days before in the training, and just keep feeding them little messages. Don't forget. And you get to know what a referee likes and doesn't like. And yeah. So you have to make sure that the lads are equipped with that information as well. Else,
what sort of things? So that referee likes the smell of jupe, so make sure you're caked in jupe. You know what? Before you carry on, mate. Like as I say, look, I've only ever played Sunday League, so I certainly have not got the experience that you're talking about. But for my managers, because I'm quite an argumentative person at the best of times, when a referee's telling you what you don't want to hear and you're arguing back, as a manager, when you're watching your player do that, there's only so much you can say to that player, isn't there? Just stop, just back off. I suppose you have to really rely on the professionalism of the player, of the lads around him, the captain, to do your talking on the field. It's tough, isn't it?
It is. I'm sure Coyney, I don't know about Vaughany's experience in the past, but I'm sure Coyney will tell you, again, that comes down to the character of the person. And you'll have to almost do due diligence to make sure that you're not bringing kind of, a crazy player, a crazy player who can lose his head like that into the side. It's as simple as that, But look, it's heat of the moment when the battle's on and there's so much at stake. Yes, you have to give room to understand why someone could lose their head. But as a whole, if it consistently keeps happening, I'm sure Coyney's got. Have you had to deal with it, mate?
Yeah, I've had a fair few over the last 7 years of. I've been a manager at Sunday League, and first and foremost, the one thing I will say is there are some really, really good referees out there. In fact, I'd say a lot of the ones that referee us on a Sunday are very, very good, and a lot of them are just young lads who are trying to learn the game as well. Unfortunately for Sunday League referees, it's almost more interesting to talk about the ones who aren't so good, isn't it? So. Yeah, the ones that worry me are the ones that are there only to pick up money. They're not interested in the game. They just see it as an extra 30 quid on a Sunday, which fair enough if you're using it for an extra 30 quid. But if that's the only reason that you're using it for, not for the love of the game and to be involved in the sport, then it's not a good situation to be in. The other ones that I sort of that stick in my mind are the guys who like to be antagonistic, who seem to go onto a football pitch with the sole intention of seeing how many people that they can wind up, and that's on both sides as well. I mean, we had one just before Christmas in a cup match, and perfectly decent guy before the game. As soon as the game started, it was right. Let's see how many people on this football pitch I can wind up, and that was from both sides as well. And I remember turning around to Darren, the guy who runs the team with me, and just saying, "This guy is effing dreadful. I can't believe how bad he's been." And then it was like every time you shout for a decision, he'd look at you and give the decision the other way. He's just doing this. And I think the truth in the truth came at the end of the game, where obviously, Dan, you know what I'm like on the sideline. I can be quite vocal. He wouldn't come near us after the game. And it was like, come on, mate, at least have some bollocks and at least come and have a conversation about some of your decisions, which, you know, if a referee's made some errors, I like to go up to him at the end of the game and just say, look, can you just explain that to me? Why did you give that decision? And if they turn around and say, well, I thought it was this, or I wasn't sure, and if I'm not sure, I'm not going to give it, I'll shake the hand and say, well, not in COVID times, but in normal times, I shake the hand and say, listen, fair enough. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has opinions. Your opinion will be different to mine, and absolutely no problem. But that's if they can't communicate the decisions, then that causes frustration for me.
What about you, Vaughany? Because you've been to, you go to at least 760 games a season, so you must see some dodgy refs.
Well, the one I always used to think had certainly got it in for Shrewsbury, and Paul will know him, is a guy called Trevor Kettle. You come across him, and Matty, you know him as well, don't you? He just... And I got to be honest, I thought it was just a Shrewsbury thing, because every time we had him, there was always controversy with him. He'd do something, and something would happen in the game, and you just think, every time we get this guy, he is just an absolute whopper. But the more fans that you talk to throughout the Football League, whether it's like yourself, Matty, at Walsall, you go to an away game, and you'll be in the pubs there, and they'll go, "Oh God, we had Trevor Kettle last week." And actually, I started to realise it ain't just a Shrewsbury thing; it's probably most clubs.
If you recognise their name, it's a bad sign, isn't it? The best referee, the ones whose names you don't know.
Definitely.
Trevor Kettle would be the one, and you just think, "Oh God." I suppose from my time, sort of just playing football and whatever, that's quite a while ago now. So I probably can't remember too many incidents. But as a secretary of a Sunday League team, I used to actually quite enjoy the referees' reports coming through, and some of the things that were said by our players to the referee, and it comes back word for word, and you get it through the post like the Wednesday morning. They're just absolute bits, just laughing at it. Basically, some of the things that were said,
It's look, it's part of the game that again, sadly, will stick around forever. The referees, the decisions they give, but I think we could actually talk about referees for a month, so we'll come back to that one. I think let's
get a referee on, Dan. I think we've got
good call.
Not with you three, Jesus Christ. He'd be gone. I've got one in mind. You know who I'm on about, Paul. Okay, so just to quickly, obviously, I don't want to keep guys too much longer. It is Sunday after all. Quick update with Grassroots. Now, Ollie Bayliss was very happy to let us use a couple of his slides today. Hopefully, be having Ollie on again soon. Wanted to just touch on the whole situation with steps 1 and 2. And at the moment, they're going through this whole voting system of whether they think the league should carry on or whether it should be cancelled. Now, I've actually got a couple of slides from, I sound like the guy, Chris Whitty, don't I? If you'd like to look at the slide. I've made
Next slide, please.
In fact, you can say that again, mate.
Next slide, please.
All right, let's start the bloody thing first. Jesus Christ. So what was interesting, and I think you'll all agree, and people watching, I think you'll agree with this as well, is the clubs that have publicly, this is all based on pubs. Oh, look, I've got it in my bloody head now. This is all based on clubs who have publicly come out and said yay or nay. So the ones that are in black, forget about them. We don't know what they're thinking, but the ones that have either got a red or a blue are the ones that have said yay or nay. So interestingly enough, Vaughany, if you'd like to say it.
Next slide, please.
If you can see there, step 1, there's only Kings Lynn Town that are actually for it at the moment, for the season to be cancelled. Now, You've got here that Sutton, Hartlepool, and Notts County have come out and said they're against it. I think, to be honest, that's going to go that way with the rest of the clubs in that division. I think there's too much to play for in that division in the sense of getting back into the league. What are your thoughts on that, lads?
It's not surprising that 2 out of the 3 at the top are voted for, is it? Yeah, I think. I think at that level, certainly the conference and the Conference North, I'd be surprised if it didn't go ahead and keep playing. Interesting that Wrexham decided to abstain. What was the reason behind that?
I think because they've said they're not allowed to have any of the grants or anything. I think they're saying, right, well, we won't bother doing anything. And if that's the case, which, let's be honest, they're not short of a few quid now, are they? You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. That would be like David Beckham accepting bloody milk vouchers, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is obviously split into 2 sides with North and South. I'm going to put them up. And then I'm going to let you. I'm going to see if you've got the same, made the same findings that I have, which is quite odd here. So the first slide, this is for Conference North. So if you look there, only 2 have said they're against Gloucester City and Fylde, and then for it you've got Chester, Farsley Celtic, Spennymoor Town, AFC Telford, Bradford Park Avenue, Southport, Darlington, and Blythe Spartans, and then in the Southern. Look at that. I mean, there's only 1, 2, 3 that are confirmed that actually want the season to stop. I mean, what does that say? Does that say that us Northern people, well, we're Midlands, but does that say Northerners have had enough and just want to give up? Or I don't get that. Put in the comments below if you've got an idea as well, because I'm not sure. That's completely baffled me, that decision.
The only thing I can think of there, Dan, I mean, you have got a couple of fan-owned clubs in there as well, haven't you? In Telford and Darlington, maybe. So that's probably influenced their decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest, I don't know.
Just quite. I mean, it is literally North Council, South. I just don't get it. What about you, Matty?
Yeah, I think I said it last week. When I was watching the show and I put in the comments, every club's got a unique viewpoint on it. So I think it's really difficult to distinguish. Again, like you, I'm puzzled to why geographically it'd be like that, to be honest. I don't know.
Ollie's sat there at home going, he's bought it, the Tossers bought it, this is about What about you, Coyney?
I was just a bit puzzled, and I was just trying to think in my mind why Chester would be so high up in the league and vote the way that they've voted. And again, I can only think for monetary reasons that they've taken that decision. But yeah, it's absolutely startling, the difference between the North and the South, isn't it? And then it brings into the question whether they will, if the votes stayed as they are, whether they'd decide to go ahead with the Conference South and not the North, which surely they wouldn't, because
a lot of clubs actually refused to play, didn't they? This weekend, a lot of clubs said, "Well, we're not playing. It's not happening. We won't be sending a team. We won't be playing." Which I was like, can they do that? Can a club just turn around and say, no, we're not playing. I'm not doing it. David Edwards says, David Edwards, that's the town lad. David Roberts says maybe it's travelling with the stadium in its money. You probably make money. Yeah, you're probably on something there, mate. It just for me, I'll just quickly go back to it. North, so many Reds, but the South, they're just they're not having it. Absolutely. Any reason to put a slide up, mate. So yeah, I mean, this next bit, and this is Paul's baby really, because Paul's heavily involved in the Welsh Premier League with Aberystwyth Town. He's got ties with other clubs as well there. I mean, the news that Paul sort of was talking to me off air today about, which you'll go through now, impacts some of the Midlands clubs. So Paul, take it away, mate.
So what's come out this week with regards to the Cymru Premier, the Cymru North and South, is that the plan is for both those, all 3 of those divisions to continue. So that's the Cymru Premier, which is the Tier 1 in Wales, and the Cymru North and South, which is Tier 2. Everything below that, the season is null and void, which I don't think those seasons have got started anyway. So it's not, it's not a massive concern as such. In fact, I don't think Tier 2 actually got started either. But the plan is for Tier 2 to run from the 20th of March up until the last week of May, and for the Cymru Premier Tier 1 to run from the 5th of March to the last weekend in May. In the Premier, so far there's been, I think, about 15, 16 games played for each team. So it's about halfway through the season. So there's still another 16 games to fit in that timescale. So you've got 12 weeks there to fit in 16 games, which I think is, it's more than possible for the teams to do that. I think it's 15 games in the Tier 2. So again, 10 weeks to fit in 15 games. Again, more than possible. But the question that Dan and I were talking about earlier was that if the seasons get cancelled in England, how many players will come across from West Midlands, North West clubs, South West clubs across to the Welsh leagues to play in the Welsh leagues, just simply to get another 3-4 months of football, and what will be the knock-on effects for the clubs in England because of that? I think the transfer window in the Premier has closed, so there already has been some movement between the two countries, but I'm not sure about the second tier. I mean, Matty, would that be a concern of yours that you might lose some players to teams close to the border from Wales?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, is it Dan, and you guys might be able to educate me a little bit. Is it WEM have an affiliation with someone? We turned up the start of this season.
Oh, I remember this, Matty.
No, but I'm just saying, it's just an example of how close border clubs could be to Welsh clubs, and yeah, definitely it could happen. I cannot see it happen on a grand scale. No, probably not. But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. I mean, one of my good pals, he used to travel down. Dave Jones, that was the manager. He's the manager of Berriew at the moment. He was manager of Welsh Pool, and he got a West Midlands connection. And a lot of lads would travel to Welsh Pool, to travel to play for Welsh Pool on a weekend and whatnot on midweek. So yeah, it does happen. I can't see it happening on a big scale though. But you never know. Like I say, people want to play football and might need some extra coinage. So.
David, sorry, Lee, just before I jump in there, mate. David Roberts says, Paul, you can say it because I can't say that bloody word.
Cymru.
There we go. That one, North and South, haven't played any matches apart from the odd friendly. So that's that, because I didn't know that either. So thanks for that, David. Paul, Vaughany, I cut you off there, mate. Crack on.
No, that's all right. I was just, all I was going to say was maybe it might work the other way for you, Matty. If you lose players out to Wales, if the conference North and South finishes, you might get a few coming that way into you.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know, do you?
No, thanks for that, Coyney, because as I say, you're very much involved in the Welsh Prem. It's a division that's quite close to your heart. I mean, Matty's not obviously aware of this. You were a ball boy in a European Cup tie for Newtown, weren't you?
I wasn't a ball boy. I was a mascot.
Of course, you were a mascot.
Who was that against, Coyney?
That was against Skånta Riga in '96, and then again against Wisla Krakow in '98. So yeah, I got to do it twice. Riga was quite a good one actually, because they had a few players who came across to play in England. They had Marian Pajas played.
Oh yes, Southampton. Yeah.
Stepanovs as well.
Stepanovs played, yeah. A guy then went on to play against Man United in quite an infamous game for Arsenal. And then there was another guy as well, Vaughany, you might remember him, called Vitaly Astafievs, who went on to play for Bristol Rovers and ended up scoring a hat-trick against Town at the Meadow. Yeah.
It's easy for you to say as well. It was quite strange actually. I was actually at that game. There was a guy that I used to go to school with. I didn't really know him particularly well, but a lot of my mates did. A guy called Jason Evans, I think, played for Newtown, and it was quite bizarre that a guy that we played football with at school, all of a sudden he's playing in like the European Cup. He just couldn't get our heads around it. But it was good fun. It was good fun.
Again, I think to be fair, Paul, especially with this coming week on week out, I think it'd be great for you to sort of be our correspondence for that, because you do know a bit there. You obviously messaged us in our private WhatsApp group. Yeah, we've got a WhatsApp group, Matty. We've got one. But before I finish the show, I just want to play something that Vaughany sent across in the chat.
Oh,
We've had some. Don't worry, mate. It's nothing Warsaw.
It's nothing Warsaw.
I'm off.
As you're all aware,
Matty was going to wave us goodbye. Then I think he thought it was something coming there.
As you're all aware, we've had to endure some trouble from our neighbours from the north after beating us in the rugby. This is some footage that come out. A chap, I believe it was for Hamilton, was it, Vaughany?
It was Hamilton Academicals, yeah.
Lost his job as a commentator.
Oh, no,
Well, I don't know what possessed the guy. I don't know. I mean, we all know these things happen, but I mean, apart from sort of saying, well, I made myself a cup of tea, rolled the newspaper, put it under my arm, took a Kit Kat, and I strode off down the corridor to the toilet like a man on a mission. Apart from that, I mean, it's like, what's he thinking?
I think he's deliberately trying to be funny, and it's completely backfiring.
Yeah.
The second comment towards the end where he's saying, he said something like, "I've got." He's deliberately trying to be funny, I think, and he's just made himself look like a complete idiot, isn't he?
Yeah. No, it happens. I've obviously been a Walsall fan. I've been watching the iFollow games, and sometimes when you watch your away games, you pick up your away team's commentary. And recently, I was watching a game, the Tranmere game, and the two guys. It was like they were using it as a comedy show. It was like everything was a joke. They were like double acting with each other. It was crap to watch, to be honest. My dad was watching it. He's not, he doesn't suffer falls. Some of the abuse my dad was giving him, saying, "Oh, shut these up." Yeah, no, that guy should have just shut up. Shouldn't he? Straight away, if he said that job, he just shut up. He dug himself a hole.
Absolutely.
Bit of humour to end the show there. Listen, guys, really enjoyed this tonight. Thanks to everyone who stayed with us throughout. Look, as I said, this is something that's growing. We're certainly going to be bringing lots more content out week in, week out. Please remember to hit the subscribe button below and like it and share it with your friends. Big shout out to Matty. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. It really has been a pleasure having you on.
My pleasure, lads. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Matty.
No problem at all.
We'll have to get you back on, mate. We'll have to get you back on, hopefully, when the season starts. That'd be great. Paul, Coyney, anything from you, mate?
No, just again, thanks very much to Matty for coming on. Thanks to everyone for watching and for making the comments. So looking forward to next week already. Spot on. Vaughany, anything from you, mate?
Echo all of that. Just thank you to Matty. I will say good luck to Walsall for the rest of the season as well, matey.
Catch it back, mate. So
thank you.
I can't. You said I can't. That'll kill me. My friends will kill me. No, I can't.
Well then, guys, everybody watching, please remember to stay safe out there. Take care. Remember, we're almost at the end of this now, so just do yourselves a favour and stay in. Protect the NHS, save lives, help us get this number down so that we can go back to watching some bloody football. I want some football. I better go. The missus is banging downstairs. I think I've been up here too long. So all that's left for me to say is be thinkers, not stinkers. Sayonara. Au revoir.